Hello everybody, British Redditor here, coming at you from the Renaissance period. Thank you guys so much for your support last video. Today we have 2 posts from r/maliciouscompliance. Be sure to stay to the end because the second one is a doozy. Reimburse me or the police will get involved. Okay then, let's get the police involved. So I work in customer support for a mobile network provider. The way our company works is that after training, you enter a 1-month testing period where you answer phone calls under close supervision. At the end of the testing period, they either let you go or transfer you to a permanent position on one of the teams. I was a few days away from the end of the testing period when I got one heck of a phone call. I spent more than an hour on that one. It hurt my final score at the end of the month. The customer told a tale about how when she was trying to pay her debt to the company, she racked hundreds of shekels worth of debt in unincluded uses. The sales representative was rude to her and refused to let her pay, so she took a picture of him and left. The reason the call took so long is because she kept telling the story out of order, adding and changing details and going on tangents and rants. It was very difficult to get the story straight. I felt like a detective trying to piece together the clues into what actually happened. Every time I read the story back to her chronologically, she added or changed something in the middle or went on a tangent about how she's a polite British woman and we shouldn't hire people like that representative to represent our company. Eventually, I got her to settle down on a version of what actually happened. I looked through the records and saw that according to the representative, who was a lot more concise than her, that she was the one being rude, yelling at him in English, a language he barely spoke, and taking his picture without his consent. I didn't tell her that. I just politely instructed her on how to pay her debt via the phone. She sounded nervous. I told her that until the debt is paid, I cannot make the changes in the account, including adding a port. So reluctantly, she gave me her credit card details and the debt was paid in full. I reported on what she told me and moved it along to my superiors. A few days later, my testing period was over, and despite that tragedy of a call, I aced it and got transferred to the illustrious email department, which is what I wanted. It's much more chill here, and I can work at my own pace, not having to rely on the customer or the supervisors to work faster. Also, I could take my breaks whenever I felt like it. Everything is fine for a couple of weeks until I receive a new email telling a familiar tale. It was an enraged recounting of the same story I'd heard on the phone, except much more elaborate, with more details I had never heard before, such as the involvement of another person, or that the represented assaulted the customer by trying to impede her exit from the store. The customer complained that she'd been cheated and expected the representative to be fired, but she saw him again at the store and was outraged. She was under the impression that her paying her debt meant we will listen to her and fire the representative. The email ends with the following demands: fire the representative, reimburse her for the money we stole from her under false pretenses, and apologize to her in the form of extra compensation and a personal phone call from a high-ranking manager. If we do not comply, the police will get involved. So I complied with the second part, and we got the police involved. You see, while reading the email, I noticed that the address she emailed us from had a different surname than her account or the credit card information she provided, and lo and behold, the email was actually her real name, while the other details were fake. Turns out she was indeed a polite British woman, a British woman overstaying her visa for over a year that was now using a fake identity in Israel. How's that for false pretenses, bitch? As we discovered later, she was also wanted for numerous accounts of fraud where she didn't pay for services or claimed compensation for stories that later turned out to be false, just like she tried to do with us. We called the police, but they couldn't find her since the physical address she registered on our site was also fake. So we called her back to the store to apologise personally. She gladly obliged. The police were waiting for her. Neither I nor the representative she implicated were there that day, unfortunately, so we didn't get to see the look on her face. She was fined a hefty amount and then deported back to the UK. I can't believe actual criminals like her believe that they are entitled to something when they know they are in the wrong and expect to gain that entitlement. Just doesn't make any sense. Kick the main boss of the company out of your bar as a company drinks? Okay. I don't know if this is necessary in an MC, but it happened to my dad. He was one of the 3 partners at one of his former companies, about medium-sized. One day, he and his company went to a company drinks. I don't think it was exactly a company party, but it was more than an after-work drink at the pub. Anyway, the bar was serving aperitifs, and my dad asked for his without ice, as he hates ice tainting his drink. The landlord, who was behind the bar, refused and said the ice was mandatory, so he served my dad's with ice. Dad accepted it, took the ice out and laid it on the drain rack that goes under the beer draughts. The landlord ordered him to leave. My dad was half expecting it, but asked him to repeat himself. the landlord once again told him to leave. And my dad said, okay, and just started to leave. And his company all started to file out after him. The landlord protested, no, you don't have to leave, only he has to leave. One of the other staffers said something along the lines of, sorry mate, he's the big boss, we all go where he goes. So they all left and went to another bar. They had made a reservation at the bar they were leaving, but they hadn't put down any deposit for it and hadn't bought any drinks yet. The aperitifs had been complimentary, so the landlord didn't even get paid for those. Oh my god, I can just imagine the look on the landlord's face as his entire customers just get up and leave because of one stupid rule. I've never even heard of a restaurant/bar in the UK having mandatory ice in your drinks. I mean, who does that? Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and to those especially who have made it to the end, I really appreciate that. Also, due to some requests, I'm going to bring out some r/entitled parents and more of the revenge subreddits in the future. So please like and subscribe to support the channel, and I really enjoy reading the supportive comments. It makes me want to keep making videos. Anyway, enough talking. Thank you everyone, and goodbye.